The Hunt for Isaac Pence, a chilling tale of murder, survival, and justice in the Ohio woods. In the quiet, dense forests of Ohio, where the rustling leaves and distant calls of wildlife usually provide a serene escape from the chaos of everyday life, a nightmare unfolded that would forever change the lives of over 20 college students. What began as a peaceful retreat in a secluded vacation cabin turned into a harrowing fight for survival and a relentless pursuit of justice. This is the story of Isaac Pence, a man whose name now sends shivers down the spines of those who survived his wrath, and Charles Starner, the friend whose life was tragically cut short. The calm before the storm, it was supposed to be the perfect getaway. A group of college friends, eager to unwind after a grueling semester, had rented a cabin deep in the Ohio woods. The plan was simple: spend a few days hiking, bonding around the campfire, and enjoying the beauty of nature. For Charles Starner, a 21-year-old with a contagious laugh and a passion for photography, it was an opportunity to capture the wilderness through his lens. But as the sun dipped below the horizon on their first night, the tranquility of the forest was shattered by an act of unspeakable violence. A night of terror. The details of that fateful night are still difficult to comprehend. According to witnesses, Isaac Pence, a man who had been invited to join the group by a mutual friend, suddenly turned on Charles. What started as a heated argument escalated into a brutal attack. The group watched in horror as Pence, seemingly consumed by rage, viciously took Charles's life. The woods, once a place of peace, became a scene of chaos and fear. With no cell service and help miles away, the group was left to fend for themselves. Pence, realizing the gravity of what he had done, fled into the darkness, leaving the traumatized students to grapple with the aftermath. The cabin, once a haven, now felt like a prison. The friends were faced with an impossible choice: stay and risk another encounter with Pence, or venture into the unknown forest in search of help. The hunt begins. As dawn broke, the group made the difficult decision to split up. Some stayed behind to guard the cabin and tend to their emotional wounds, while others set out to find help. The journey through the dense woods was fraught with danger. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sent their hearts racing. Was it an animal? Or was it Pence, lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike again?
Meanwhile, back at the cabin, the remaining students worked tirelessly to piece together what had happened. They gathered evidence, documented the scene, and tried to make sense of the senseless. Their efforts would prove crucial in the days to come, as they worked alongside law enforcement to bring Pence to justice.
A community on edge, news of the murder spread quickly, sending shockwaves through the local community. The Ohio woods, once a popular destination for hikers and nature enthusiasts, became a place of fear. Parents urged their children to stay indoors, and locals armed themselves, unsure of what Pence was capable of. The manhunt intensified, with police scouring the area for any sign of the fugitive. As the days turned into nights, the group of college students found themselves at the center of a media frenzy. Reporters descended on the scene, eager to capture every detail of the unfolding drama. But for the students, the attention was a double-edged sword. While they appreciated the support, they also struggled with the weight of their trauma. They had witnessed a friend's murder, and now they were being asked to relive it over and over again. The breakthrough. Just when it seemed like Pence might evade capture forever, a breakthrough came. One of the students, who had been part of the group that ventured out for help, stumbled upon a clue. Deep in the woods, they found a makeshift campsite, complete with a fire pit and discarded food wrappers. The discovery sent a surge of hope through the group. They knew they were close. With the help of local law enforcement, the students coordinated a search of the area. It was a risky move. Pence was armed and dangerous, but they were determined to see justice served. As they closed in on the campsite, the tension was palpable. Every step brought them closer to the man who had shattered their lives. The final confrontation, the confrontation with Pence, was as dramatic as it was cathartic. Cornered and desperate, he tried to flee, but the students and police were ready. A tense standoff ensued, with Pence finally surrendering after realizing he was outnumbered and outmaneuvered. As he was led away in handcuffs, the group felt a mix of relief and sorrow. They had caught the killer, but it didn't bring Charles back. Justice for Charles. In the months that followed, the case against Isaac Pence unfolded in court. The evidence gathered by the students played a crucial role in securing his conviction. Witness testimonies, photographs, and the meticulous documentation of the crime scene painted a clear picture of what had happened that night in the woods. Pence was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, a small measure of justice for Charles and his grieving friends. A legacy of resilience. Today, the story of Isaac Pence and Charles Starner serves as a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the depths of human depravity. But it is also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The group of college students, thrust into a nightmare, banded together to overcome unimaginable odds. They faced their fears, confronted a killer, and fought for justice. As we reflect on this harrowing tale, we are reminded of the importance of community, courage, and the relentless pursuit of truth. The woods of Ohio may have been the setting for a tragedy, but they also became the backdrop for a story of survival, solidarity, and hope. For those who wish to delve deeper into the case, Patreon offers all the evidence with context for the clips, allowing you to explore the intricacies of this chilling story. But be warned, once you step into the world of Isaac Pence and the Ohio woods, you may find it difficult to look away.
The progression from a simple fistfight to a fatal stabbing starkly illustrates how swiftly violence can escalate in moments of heated conflict. Witnesses, now burdened with the memories of such brutality, are left traumatized by the grim turn of events. Upon arrival, emergency responders confronted a desperate situation as Charlie lay critically injured, his condition life-threatening. Regrettably, despite the valiant attempts of a friend, who happened to be an EMS student, Charlie's life could not be salvaged. Tragic reminder of the consequences of violence. In the aftermath, detectives sprang into action, diligently collecting testimonies from witnesses, particularly those who bore the visible scars of the scene, being covered in blood. This crucial evidence was key in reconstructing the dark chain of events culminating in the murder. Eyewitness accounts paint a harrowing picture of Isaac's assault on Charlie, executed with alarming speed and ferocity. Multiple stabs to vital areas underscore not just the brutality of the incident, but also the immediate danger present in that atmosphere. Dalton, the host of the gathering, expressed growing concern regarding Isaac's aggressive tendencies. His attempts to eject Isaac from the party prior to the stabbing reveal a troubling history of violence that loomed over the night, foreshadowing the tragedy that would unfold. As police pieced together testimonies from witnesses like Hannah and Jimmy, vital insights emerged, particularly regarding Isaac's troubling past. Dalton's revelations about Isaac's prior aggressive behavior added a critical layer of understanding to the investigation. Amid this chaos, a distressed daughter communicated during a call, her belongings becoming collateral damage in a tumultuous scene. Her experience emphasizes the emotional upheaval and confusion that pervaded as the night spiraled out of control. The question of accountability loomed large, as both the assailant and the witnesses appeared to show a staggering disregard for the violent crime that unfolded. This raises profound inquiries regarding their respective responsibilities in this tragic incident. Later, witnesses provided incriminating evidence, including video footage of the stabbing event. Such evidence proved critical, serving to establish the timeline and circumstances leading up to this act of violence. Isaac's behavior indicated premeditated intent to inflict harm. His act of hiding knives at a friend's house after the murder painted a disturbing picture of his awareness of wrongdoing, underscoring the gravity of the situation. As the investigation progressed, Isaac's abusive history became a focal point, shedding light on a troubling pattern of violence that impacted those around him, particularly Sabra. Such histories cannot be dismissed when evaluating the unfolding circumstances. During his interrogation, Isaac attempted to twist the narrative, downplaying his level of intoxication and shunning responsibility for his actions. This behavior revealed a self-serving mindset that complicated the truths surrounding the events. Isaac described being confronted by a group of 10 to 15 people, which he claimed forced him into a position where he felt compelled to use a knife for self-defense. However, his account raises questions about the authenticity of his claims and his desire to sidestep conflict. Contradictory witness statements cast a shadow of doubt on Isaac's reliability as a narrator of events. Many witnesses assert he was the instigator, prompting detectives to gather evidence that would challenge his assertions in future interrogations. The involvement of Sabra continues to remain ambiguous, with suggestions surfacing that she may have assisted Isaac by passing him the knife. Detectives plan to interrogate her further, hoping to clarify her role in the unfolding drama. Witness testimonies starkly contradicted Sabra's claims regarding Isaac's supposed nonviolent nature, raising significant discrepancies in the perceptions of his behavior throughout the incident. Such contradictions complicate her reliability as a witness. The phenomenon of trauma bonding sheds significant light on the complexities of abusive relationships, illustrating how victims may cultivate emotional ties to their abusers. This dynamic complicates our understanding of such relationships and the cycle of violence. Isaac's history of violence and previous aggressive incidents profoundly impacts the current situation, particularly regarding Sabra's defense of him. This history must not be overlooked as it plays a pivotal role in evaluating the circumstances. As the detective delves into the suspect's living conditions concerning his children, the severity of domestic violence and neglect becomes painfully apparent. This confrontation sets the emotional tone for the interrogation ahead. The suspect's reluctance to divulge the truth prompts critical questions about the manipulation and fear endemic in abusive relationships. Such hesitance vividly illustrates the psychological toll that domestic violence exerts on both victims and witnesses. The intelligence of the interrogation reveals the detective's strategy to elicit a confession by shining a light on the ramifications of the suspect's actions. This reflects broader implications regarding accountability in violent crime. The level of intoxication among individuals involved played a pivotal role in their actions, spotlighting the dangers associated with excessive drinking. Such circumstances often lead to impulsive choices, manifesting in tragic outcomes. Underlying issues of jealousy surfaced as critical factors, particularly in the context of relationships and trust among friends. This emotional turbulence contributed significantly to the altercation that ultimately spiraled beyond control. The legal ramifications facing those involved serve as a stark reminder of the severe consequences stemming from their actions. The choices made not only reverberate through their own lives but also ripple outwards, affecting families and communities as a whole.
The Mind of a Killer, unraveling the motives behind Isaac Pence's brutal crime. The story of Isaac Pence and the murder of Charles Starner is one that chills to the bone. It is a tale of betrayal, violence, and the dark corners of the human psyche. As a forensic psychologist, I have spent years studying the minds of criminals, trying to understand what drives a person to commit such heinous acts. The case of Isaac Pence is no exception. Through careful analysis of the events and the psychological profile of Pence, we can begin to unravel the motives behind this brutal crime and, in doing so, uncover lessons that may help us prevent such tragedies in the future. The Anatomy of a Killer, understanding Isaac Pence. Isaac Pence was not a stranger to the group of college students. He was invited to join their retreat by a mutual friend, suggesting that he was, at least on the surface, someone they trusted. But beneath this facade of normalcy lay a deeply troubled individual. To understand his motives, we must first examine the psychological traits that likely contributed to his actions. The mask of normalcy. Many violent offenders, like Pence, are adept at hiding their true nature. They blend into society, often appearing charming, friendly, and unassuming. This ability to mask their darker tendencies is what makes them so dangerous. In Pence's case, his invitation to the cabin suggests that he had successfully ingratiated himself with the group, allowing him to get close to his victim without raising suspicion.
The role of anger and resentment. Witnesses reported that the attack began as a heated argument. While the exact nature of the dispute remains unclear, it is likely that Pence harbored deep-seated anger and resentment, possibly directed at Charles or the group as a whole. This anger may have been simmering beneath the surface for some time, waiting for the right trigger to explode into violence.
A lack of empathy. One of the most chilling aspects of Pence's crime is the sheer brutality of the act. To take a life in such a vicious manner suggests a profound lack of empathy. Psychopaths and individuals with antisocial personality disorder often exhibit this trait, enabling them to commit violent acts without remorse. For Pence, Charles's life was expendable, a mere obstacle to be eliminated. The thrill of power and control. For some killers, the act of taking a life is not just about anger or resentment, it is about power. By committing such a brazen act in front of a group of witnesses, Pence may have been seeking to assert dominance and instill fear. The fact that he fled into the woods afterward suggests a desire to prolong the sense of control, as if you were playing a deadly game of cat and mouse. The perfect storm, circumstances that enabled the crime. While Pence's psychological profile provides insight into his motives, it is also important to consider the circumstances that enabled the crime to occur. The secluded setting of the Ohio woods played a significant role in the unfolding of this tragedy. Isolation and vulnerability. The remote location of the cabin left the group isolated and vulnerable. With no cell service and help miles away, they were effectively cut off from the outside world. This isolation likely emboldened Pence, who knew that his actions would go unnoticed at least for a time. The dynamics of group psychology. In a group setting, individuals often defer to others in times of crisis, assuming that someone else will take charge. This phenomenon, known as the bystander effect, may have contributed to the initial shock and inaction of the group. By the time they realized the gravity of the situation, it was too late to save Charles. The aftermath, trauma and resilience. The impact of Pence's crime extended far beyond the immediate loss of Charles Starner. The surviving students were left to grapple with the trauma of witnessing a murder and the fear of being hunted by a killer. Their resilience in the face of such adversity is a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Survivor's guilt. Many of the students likely experienced survivor's guilt, questioning whether they could have done more to prevent the tragedy. This guilt is a common response among those who witness violent crimes, and it can have long-lasting psychological effects. The healing power of justice. The capture and conviction of Isaac Pence provided a measure of closure for the group. Knowing that he would spend the rest of his life behind bars allowed them to begin the process of healing. However, the scars of that night will remain with them forever. The story of Isaac Pence and Charles Starner is a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human heart. But it also offers valuable lessons that can help us prevent similar tragedies in the future. Trust your instincts. If something feels off about a person or a situation, trust your instincts. The students may have sensed that Pence was not who he appeared to be, but they dismissed their concerns. Paying attention to these subtle cues could save lives. The importance of communication. In a group setting, open and honest communication is crucial. Had the students discussed their concerns about Pence earlier, they might have been able to prevent the tragedy. The need for preparedness. When venturing into remote areas, it is essential to have a plan in place for emergencies. This includes carrying communication devices, knowing the location of the nearest help, and being aware of potential dangers. The power of community. In the aftermath of the crime, the students banded together to support one another and bring Pence to justice. This sense of community was instrumental in their ability to cope with the trauma and move forward.
A final thought. As we reflect on the chilling story of Isaac Pence, we are reminded of the fragility of life and the importance of vigilance. While we cannot always prevent acts of violence, we can take steps to protect ourselves and those we care about. Let this story serve as a call to action, a reminder to trust our instincts, communicate openly, and stand together in the face of adversity.
And let us not forget Charles Starner, whose life was tragically cut short. His memory lives on in the hearts of his friends and family, and in the lessons we have learned from his story. May we honor his legacy by striving to create a world where such senseless acts of violence are a thing of the past.
Not be considered as legal advice or factual evidence. Viewers are encouraged to conduct their own research and consult with legal professionals for accurate and personalized information. The content may discuss sensitive topics, and viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed in this video are those of the content creator and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated individuals or organizations.
Thank you for taking the time to follow my channel. Please subscribe now and join us on this eye-opening journey.